Forza Horizon 4 is out. It's a bunch of fun. I've been playing it, and while playing, I remembered something we saw a while back on the internet and we didn't really have a chance to use until now. This little guy. This is an attachment for your Xbox One controller that turns it into a little itty bitty tiny steering wheel. This is made by a guy called Uncle Jesse. He's got a few videos on it. He sells them on his Etsy shop. We picked one up and we're gonna see how well this guy fares. But you know, once we picked it up, we kind of have a thought, how can we make this just a little more ridiculous? So we're going to compare this to playing on this. This insane looking contraption is the Forza Edition Fanatic wheel bundle. It's the wheel right here, the base it's attached to, the pedals, and then we bought the chair separately. But the point is, this whole setup costs roughly 100 times what that little Etsy wheel does. So, you know, presumably it's gonna be a better experience, just slightly, maybe, or maybe not. Let's find out. So this is definitely like a very, because I've been playing Forza, but I've been doing it all on controller, and this is definitely a very different experience. I mean, first off, I'm using an actual wheel. I also have to remember what all these buttons do, like which ones are which, because there's a lot on here. It's a little bit to try and look at the wheel and the camera, and oh god, I'm gonna crash. This is actually really cool. Like admittedly I'm not huge into racing games, but this would make me play them more, I think. Like having this whole kind of setup. It's very old school arcadey vibe almost. Like I'm having flashbacks to just playing games way back in the day where you'd have the full setup. Okay, that's what we call a rewind moment. We're just gonna, okay, switch the buttons. Yeah, just rewind that. That's much better. So I'm in last. I'm gonna go ahead and blame that on talking to you guys, and we'll just, that'll be our agreement, okay? Okay. Oh, no. Okay, we're good. This definitely makes like the overall experience a lot more interactive too, because I feel like especially in parts where you're in between the major races, sometimes it's fun to really explore and try and do some of the tricks and stuff in this, but then there's other times where I just want to get to the next race, and this just makes it a lot more engaging the whole time. Like even just doing the free roam parts of Forza Horizon, it's fun because you're constantly trying not to crash because you're bad with wheels like I am. All right, little guy, we can do this. Let's try this out. Okay, so this already feels a little weird because like, it's actually a really cool idea that you have this whole little like gear system for just moving the left stick, but it's also kind of bizarre feeling. You have to make sure you're really kind of holding on to little like thumb holes, I guess, they made for it, because otherwise you kind of lose track of where you are and then you don't have that same kind of precision while turning. Okay, all right, this is working. I'm still getting used to it, but I can turn, so that works. I feel like I would definitely like this better if I was just using automatic, because then I'm really just relying on like the two triggers and then I can just stay seated right here. As soon as I have to hit other buttons, it gets a little weird, because I feel like I have the most precision control when I'm like holding both down. This actually isn't bad. I was kind of expecting this to be a bit more of a wreck than it was than it's turning out to be. Like I'm playing just fine. In fact, I'm actually starting to do better. Yeah, this kind of worked out cool. I mean, look, the wheel is definitely, camera's over here. This is actually kind of cool. I mean, the wheel is obviously cooler. I mean, who are we kidding? It's really expensive, really nice, and a ton of fun. But, you know, for like 15 bucks, this is actually pretty cool. But here's the thing. I'm not good at racing games, if you couldn't tell. So let's go ahead and bring on some experts that might have, you know, a little better insight on this.
Hi. I'm Richard. I'm the best racer here. Whoa. I was doing much better before the camera turned on. I just want to note that. Much better. Yeah, I like the force feedback just because it gives you kind of just some feedback in terms of what the car is doing. Like you can kind of feel if the car is like gonna spin or whatever, you can kind of catch it. Yeah, it's super immersive. It's just fun to play with like a wheel and pedals and stuff. It feels like you're like actually driving a car, so. Fourth. I'm fourth. I don't even know how to use this thing. Let's restart here. This thing, like, it's kind of cool seeing how it works. Like, just like when you're turning and you see all the like, I guess the gears of this, like turning the joystick. I feel like this makes it harder to play but maybe it's just because I need to spend more time with it. I think what the wheel does is like kind of gives you an idea of what the car's doing. Like, I don't know if I'm turning enough with this because it's just like kind of weird, I guess. So. Yay, I'm dead last. Oh, but this thing's kind of cool. It's a neat idea. I think just have to spend more time with it and probably get better, hopefully.
Now, the takeaway here isn't something as simple as, oh, this really expensive racing wheel is better than using some little printout thing from Etsy. I mean, yeah, it's an expensive and cool controller and you get what you pay for. But what I think is really important to focus on here is there's a lot of other controller options out there aside from using just a standard controller design. And for certain games, like racing, it really changes the way you interact with the content and can make it a lot more fun.